Coming up, a Sad Styles production.
Get into it.
Andrew, the world is not an innocent place any longer. Well, I would say since the dawn of time, personally.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's just me. I'm a little bit of a cynic sometimes.
That is pretty cynical. Yes.
Yeah. And I don't know. I have trust issues.
Oh, okay.
And that makes me a cooler. That's my identity now. I have trust issues. But I don't think that's a bad thing, because I do think the world is full of bad people.
Okay.
Do you agree or do you disagree?
Are there bad people in this world? Probably yes.
Yeah. Who do you think are some of the most evil villains that you can think of, Andrew? Do you have any ideas of like?
Sure. Murderers.
Any ones in particular?
Yeah.
Not one you're sitting across the room from.
No.
I mean,
wait, what?
Hypothetically.
Have you murdered somebody?
I'm not a cop. I don't have to answer that question.
Because you're not a cop?
I'm not a cop.
I don't think you understand how that works.
I don't think you know the right questions to ask, and I plead my case.
You plead your case.
I plead my case.
Not
and
plead
I'm tired.
the fifth.
I'm going to go arrest.
Okay. No, you have a very vague understanding of the legal system.
Andrew, I'm so tired from being up all night digging holes for any reason that anything. I'm not even going to really have to explain why.
I think blankly, yes, you are a bad person. Yeah.
Did I ask that question?
Yeah, kind of. You said, is a murderer in the room with you? And that was the question about murderers or bad people.
No, you just went straight to bad people.
Well,
you think I'm a bad person? I can think of plenty more bad people. And
really?
I think that's what we should do, is we count down the top 10 villains in video game history this week on the Retrograde podcast.
What number are you?
69.
Oh, no. Welcome to the Retrograde
video game podcast, where this week we get the blueprints to how to live our lives from our favorite video game characters.
Oh, wow. That's what it is. Yeah. It's an instruction manual. Wow.
It is a manifesto is what I like to call it.
Wow. My name's Andrew Bascom. With me as always is the bad boy of podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself.
Mikey, the mustache twirling villain, Aaron Wurr.
Very good. One of your better ones. Absolutely.
Yes. Is that one of my better ones?
I'm absolutely being nice to you.
Okay. Well, you shouldn't.
No.
I'm a villain.
So are you going to be a villain this whole episode?
Andrew, I don't try to be a villain.
Yeah, he's the bad boy of podcasting, everybody.
This is just the life that's been bestowed upon me.
Exactly.
You wouldn't understand.
Yes, it's not like, do I choose my eye color today? No, that is who you are.
Well, if you wear contacts, you could. You idiot.
Right.
Checkmate.
This is what I got to deal with
Checkmate.
all day.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Yes. You know what's so funny? This is so not different than a normal episode. You're like, I'm going to be bad this time. I'm like, yeah, you're still kind of an asshole most of the time.
I am kind of an asshole. I am Mike Aaron with you, Andrew Baskin.
Yes.
We are the two greatest video game journalists you've never heard of. And this week we're going to count down the top 10 video game villains in history. And this is
history.
All history.
Kubla Khan.
Kubla Khan. The video game he was in?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe
the
Ghost of
Romulans.
Tsushima. Do you think there were man, how do I salvage this?
Yeah.
Do you think there were versions of video games that existed in Roman times that weren't video games? They were just like Dungeons and Dragons style campaigns that people would play out.
Oh.
Not virtually or digitally, obviously.
Make believe or a game?
But to them it was real.
Yeah, but to them it was very real.
It's very real.
A little too real, to be honest. And they would tear down their heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think there was a Roman Comic-Con?
Comic-Con sounds like a Roman emperor. Emperor Khan? Or maybe Mongol emperor.
Yeah, Mongol
Comic-Con.
emperor. Yeah.
Like Kubla's brother.
Who could forget where Comic-Con was, where they took over Rome?
Comic-Con used to drink the blood of his enemies.
He did.
Did you know that when Comic-Con was in his reign, my favorite version of a person to imitate is the one who gets so excited that they stick their neck out and look up and to the right when they're telling stories. Did you know?
Because they have trouble with eye contact. Yeah.
I don't know anything about that.
Oh, I know. Just that we've really hit on the one topic. That person's been quiet all night. And just they hit on the one topic. They're like, I know a lot about this.
Yes.
And you're like, did you know? Let's go back to that thing we were just talking about. Oh, that was a while ago.
Yeah. That's the exact. That's the followers of Comic-Con.
Comic-Con, yeah.
Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Andrew,
do you know we're all 10% of the human population is a descendant
Why are you looking
Comic-Con?
up and to the right when you say this?
Just something I know and I want to talk about it. You brought it up and now I can't stop talking about Comic-Con.
I'm excited to talk about people like Comic-Con in video games.
Because they're both imaginary and evil.
That's true, Andrew.
Checkmate. Right back at you.
Oh.
I understand chess.
Are we allowed to choose video game characters who are based on real characters, real villains? Like, what if you choose Civilization and you pick Gandhi because he's notoriously a very aggressive?
Well, there goes number 4. But yeah, that's fine. No.
Jesus Christ.
No, that's funny. I didn't think about that. Trust me, I so desperately wanted to do this. You know, if you're new to this podcast, sometimes we do lists, and we're going to be listing the top 10 villains, just like Mikey was saying. And sometimes I so often want to throw a pick in there that's like, makes you think.
Yeah.
Tap on my skull a couple of times.
And Andrew is literally tapping his skull right now.
Yeah.
He's peeled back his scalp.
Yeah.
He's just tapping that
and
skull.
And I'm like, pretty. Actually, it's not as scary for me because it's like everyone has a good idea what my scalp looks like being a bald man. Baldman. Yeah.
Unlike a Baldwin.
Yes.
Put that gun down.
Yeah.
Don't aim that at me.
No, Alex's famous words like, I'm going to shoot everyone on set.
What's happening with that, by the way?
They dropped the charges.
They
just
did.
a couple days ago. In honestly, a hilarious Instagram post where like Alec Baldwin is like hugging his daughter and his wife is like, you know, like innocent or something like that. And you're like, what the fuck is going on?
What is with people having charges dropped and posting one-word things on social media? What was the other one? Justice by Justin Roiland.
Oh, yeah, right. Same thing.
Did we mention this on the podcast? Because we talked about actually next week's episode, we're going to be doing a similar version to the episode that I'm about to reference, where we take a look at all the best video game franchises and we match them up randomly with new styles of video games, new genres. And we talked about how, what?
We create new games.
We create new games. And that we are nothing if not creators.
We are creators.
We are creators.
Content creators.
Better than our creator.
100%. Thanks.
And we referenced, who would be a good writer for a game that we were talking about. And we said, it would be great, Justin Roiland. Yeah. He would have been perfect for this. Yeah. And we recorded that about like a week or two in advance. And in the middle of that, Justin Roiland, everything came out and there was no way to edit around it because we kept referencing it. We're like, that was a great idea about Justin Roiland. Seems like an all around good dude.
Yeah, exactly. We have to record some stuff in advance coming up in the next couple months.
Yeah.
And I want to, once an episode, predict the death of a famous celebrity. I just want.
Why don't we just make that
just an every week thing? See if we've got a week for it?
Yeah.
Yeah, just call our shots on who's going to die.
It would suck if one of us was really good at it.
If we became like, okay, so I'm fascinated by retirement homes often have like a cat that can predict death. Do you know about this?
What?
So they usually have pets of some kind.
Is this like the octopus that can predict the World Cup winner?
Yeah, it's very similar, except it's a darker path that the cat took than the octopus, who could have obviously, in my mind, that's the curse of being like a wretched gambler, is that he got sent to an octopus's body where you can't gamble, but you know exactly how it's going to go. So often retirement homes have like animals that like are support animals and whatever. The problem is a cat is looking for a warm body that moves the least. And so cats can often predict death because they're just hanging out by the person that moves the least. The problem is if you woke up and you saw that cat on your like chest, you're like, oh no.
Oh shit.
It's coming?
Oh shit.
The face of the cat is telling me this?
The last time an animal did something I didn't like, Germany lost the World Cup finals.
Yes. I'm never going to forgive that 8-legged freak.
I think about that 8-legged freak a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
Brain.
Yeah.
I mean, there are brains in each of its tentacles.
You're a big octopus guy.
I love octopus.
This is not even a joke. You just
love
I
octopus. Fucking love them. They're great. I wouldn't be surprised. You're not going to believe me when I say this. I'm saying this with all earnesty. This is peeling back the curtain. This is not me playing a character. I would not be surprised if we somehow found out that octopus were from another planet, that they like crashed on an asteroid and the seed of their life. Okay. Not that they visited us in airplanes or, spacecraft.
Yeah, airplanes. Yeah.
Airplanes. Yeah. But like if
what do you call those things that travel in space?
Airplanes. If they came here as like frozen in an asteroid and the seeds of their life were planted on Earth.
It's funny you say this because I got drunk the other night and my player...
Big surprise.
Yeah, I know. Big lush over here.
Wow.
My player one goes, I knew you were drunk because you were trying to explain the plot of Planet of the Apes and described that in that movie, the apes are running the Earth, right? And they don't think humans are audible because it's been generations without them talking, right? And all of a sudden, Charlton Heston, a person that traveled in an airplane from another planet, crashed in there and then goes, hey, get your hands off of me. And they're like, what the hell? And I supposedly am describing this to people who could not care less and going like, it's like if we picked up an octopus one day and they're like, hey, what are you doing? You're like, oh my God. What? The hell is going on? And we just make you revisit everything you think you know. You know what I mean?
Would you ever eat sushi again if one octopus spoke?
No, I think if it's audible, I think I would have real trouble if it like formed words. Queen's English, of course. Yeah, if I start seeing Urdu, I'm like, nope, kill it, eat it, let's do it. Yeah.
Fuck.
But yeah, obviously speaks the Queen's English. Then I'm like, we got to revisit this.
So one octopus saying, a phrase or just a word? Hello?
Yeah. It's kind of like, yeah. What if it said like, why isn't there a straight Pride Month? And I'm like, crap. It's a divisive octopus.
Let's keep eating
Where's men's pride? And you're like, oh no.
No, but that is true.
Yeah.
Why are all of a sudden that octopus is our new best friend? It runs for office.
Yeah,
this
honestly,
is a Black Mirror episode. I think that we're describing.
The 3 hours he would have on Rogan would be tremendous. Just smoking 8 joints and talking to him.
8 joints, 8 different tentacles. We don't need to keep talking about octopus because we have.
It'll probably come up in the future.
It probably will. Not 8, but 10 great things to talk about over the next little bit. It's 10. Andrew's giving me the thumbs up.
Nice.
He really liked that
smooth.
transition. Smooth, just like an octopus's gills,
Skin? Airplane? I don't know.
No, we're going to go over the top 10 greatest villains. Before we get to our lists, Andrew, this is not a draft. We are not waging war against one another.
You know what's funny, though? You're saying that because I was thinking about how this is just a list. We can come up with whatever we want. But it's one of our broader topics we've had.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's been, like favorite level of a specific game or whatever. And then it's like, well, there's only so many levels to choose from.
Yep.
This is so wide that I wonder how much overlap we're going to have.
Well, they talked about, our listeners, when we posted the top 10.
Hey, they're
those
outside right now.
scoundrels talked about when we posted our top 10 protagonists episode.
Are they here with us right now?
Some of them are.
Okay.
In spirit.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear them.
I download our podcast, so I guess I am
A listener.
Yeah.
I listen to each episode 3 times probably.
Yeah, probably, right?
Yeah,
you do.
When we listed we posted the top 10 protagonists episode. The number 1 comment was, you need to do this, but with villains.
Really?
And I think that's just the general conceit that villains are always more interesting than heroes. Except, I guess now we've gotten into this realm of like the anti-hero, how much of a hero is Kratos? Is he a good protagonist, or without Atreus, would he just kind of fuck off to Fimbulwinter or whatever? I'm just picking at words that I
sounded
remember.
Good.
Yeah. Fimbulwinter is the thing that came upon their land, I think.
Oh, okay.
And I don't remember the name of their land. But do you agree with that? Do you think it's easier to write a compelling villain than it is a compelling hero? And if so, why?
I would say so. Yes. I think it's really tough to be naturally good and make it interesting. I think that gets very boring very fast when he's like, I don't think so. We need to do this. And you're like, okay, all right, great. Whatever. I remember actually very clearly, a very not controversial person, Joss Whedon, when he was talking about Captain America and when he did Avengers, and he was just like, how the fuck do you write for Captain America?
Yeah.
Funny enough, he became one of the more interesting characters.
Yeah.
And I think it's so much easier to be like Iron Man, where you're like, oh, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? No, he's out for himself.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's a lot, I'm going to name like famous things, but like Tony Soprano or Walter White or Don Draper, these kind of like, well, they're not good guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the anti-hero.
Yeah, of course that's more interesting, right?
But is it necessarily more interesting, or is it just easier to be compelling? Because you talk about Captain America being everyone's favorite. The counterpoint would be, even Captain America as the good Captain America that we see in the MCU, he's still every other protagonist. He's out there. He's got a missing love. Yeah. It's all about the good. He's got a principle he's got to live by. He very seldom has to like make the bad or does decide to make a decision to do something wrong. And that is a placeholder for like every protagonist. If there is a gray area that they live in, it feels like the potential options for character traits is expanded that much more.
Yeah, okay, that's totally fair, and I agree. I think having choice means that when they're presented with the choice or with the decision, they could do either.
Yes,
and that's what's more compelling. Whereas, like, I have a pretty good idea what Captain America's gonna say. Yeah, I have a pretty good idea.
I can do this all day.
Yeah, that's what he's probably gonna say, and he's like, "That's America's ass." And he salutes. And at this point, he's like kind of like he's like Fantastic Four guy or Mr. Fantastic, right?
No, Fantastic Four guy.
Fantastic Four. Reed Richards.
Fantastic Four guy.
Oh, yeah, right. Is John Krasinski going to be Fantastic Four guy?
Fantastic Four guy.
Do you think so?
I hope so, but I hope he is Fantastic Four guy as like someone who has been blown in half.
Right. Yeah.
He's a zombie Fantastic Four guy. That was how he died, right? In Multiverse of Madness?
I think he was shredded into like a million pieces, wasn't he? Wow.
What a talk about Oprah's book list.
Yeah, 100%. What about, I just keep thinking about Fantastic 4chan and I can't.
Oh,
What do you think about that?
I like it.
Yeah. Okay. We'll figure out the context afterwards. Write that down. Write that down.
Write that down. We'll
write
keep
that down.
talking about it.
We'll use it. I don't know what,
What about Fast 8chan? Like Fast 8?
What's Fast 8?
Isn't that the Fast and the Furious?
Oh, was that one of the movies was Fast 8?
Andrew, you're the Fast and the Furious fan.
Yeah, that's true. Even a scholar like me, I'm currently working on my PhD from FAMIA University, and it's tough. It's dense. The old books are so dense these days.
They are getting intense. Yeah.
But yeah, so like you don't know the decision they're going to
Right.
make, and so that gives you so many more opportunities to be surprised and compelled by the character.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's a million ways, just like there's a million little pieces on Oprah's book list.
Or A Million Ways to Die in the West, a famous Seth MacFarlane movie.
One of the best. One of the best. There's a million ways you can fall for a villain. Even though they're doing bad things, sometimes you have a respect for them.
Yep.
Sometimes you enjoy seeing them. Sometimes you agree with them. What are the sorts of traits and qualities that you leaned on in order to make this list for yourself?
So it is our list. You know what I mean? So you're obviously going to be a little bit biased to the stuff that you really liked or were.
Our as in each of ours.
Yes.
Yeah.
My list and your
independently.
list.
Yeah.
Separately, and of course, classically, we do not talk about them.
We never would.
We are only revealing these now to each other.
Yes.
Just like on our wedding night one day. Is that obviously the games that I really liked or felt attached to, those lists are going to be a little bit
Okay,
higher.
sure.
Those things are going to be a little higher. If not, then you have to be like remarkable and stand out in some way. Video games are usually littered with, tens of characters and villains, especially in like old video games, are like per level villains.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like they're very dispensable. Like
Yeah.
they're just, well, now done with that guy. Let's go. I know new video games with continuous storylines that last tens of hours, dozens of hours. That's a little bit easier to get attached to one.
Yeah.
But sometimes the design or the voice or the character or something that they do will stand out with you. And I have a few of those on my list as well.
Yeah. Sometimes it's as simple as the performance of the person in that role. Sometimes it's the quirkiness. I had a few things. They can either be like villainous, like flat out evil, respect to those who are just have their villainous mind, like almost like the good guy always has to do the good. The villainous person always has to do the villainous. Sometimes I have a respect for a villain that's been written in that way. Sometimes they're lovable in some way. I've given some credence to that. Sometimes they're redemptive. I think a redemptive arc can go a long way to make me fall for a villain. Sometimes they're horrifying, like scary, and I think there's some credit that I would give there. And sometimes they're just memorable, and that could be the voice acting. It could be the mocap,
design,
the design, could be mechanics. There's a million different ways that I could rate these. And I will say there was one game or one franchise that at one point in time had 4 entries on my list.
I have a good idea because there was one game that had a bunch on mine too.
I bet you were talking about the
bet
same
you we
one.
are.
I won't bring it up until the first time that one of our villains, that a villain from that game pops up on the list.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because I tried to also spread it around as much as I could as well. But I would say the other one too is that as evil as some of these people can be, and I like to think of myself as a good guy, right?
I hate thinking of you that way.
Really?
Yeah.
Turns you on?
No, it really actually boils my blood.
Oh.
It makes me want to do mean things.
Oh no.
Yeah.
We really are a hero villain archetype right here. But is that sometimes I see
Except I'm somehow the boring villain. Like,
yeah. I like that. That makes me happy. And therefore
that
I'm
makes
the
me
boil. Mad. That makes me want to take prisoners. But sometimes the villain's plot is when they make a compelling argument for it, saying I'm a good guy, but yet they do something you're like, he's got a point.
Yes, like the Killmonger.
The
scenario.
Killmonger, the 100%. Like how many people were with Thanos? And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
That is also a compelling thing as well. So that made some credence on my list as well.
100%.
Yeah.
When you say how many people were with Thanos, you mean like how many people decided to fight for his cause?
Yeah. I think
interesting. I've actually never thought about it that way.
Yeah. Number of people were like, you know what? This guy's got something.
Yeah.
And
did he compel them to do it? Or did he compel them to, like, did he force them to fight with him, or did he convince them to by merit of his plan?
Well, I think there's a few that definitely like signed up voluntarily.
Yeah.
Like the children of Thanos, those 3 big baddies.
The big baddies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I used to know one of their, Ebony Maw. There you go. He's like the He's the one that fought Doctor Strange that can move things around.
Oh,
his
yeah,
mind.
yeah, yeah.
Very
yeah,
scary.
yeah.
Like
He's
that
cool.
guy.
He's
yeah.
cool. Yeah.
And then the other guys. And the rest.
At all. Yeah. Yeah.
And then I think everyone else is like, you got to sign up or you're going to die.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, okay, sounds good to me.
Sounds good to me. Who I listen, as long as I'm on the right side. Did any of his army
It's a good point.
disappear?
They must have. That's the price of
Did
business.
he know that he wasn't going to?
That's an interesting point. Did he ever know that he wouldn't be one of the people that got snapped?
Ooh. If he knew that there was a chance he would go,
then a lot of that's a pretty honorable thing to do, actually.
Seriously.
Like it's like you're signing up for the Haley Bob Comet cult, and you're like, I'll be the first to drink the Kool-Aid. I will. It's okay.
I'm gonna show you guys.
Glug 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 side of his face, just beside over his
why
shoulder.
are you drinking that gauntlet?
Oh, maybe the gauntlet protected him though.
Yeah,
he's so powerful.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure nobody will tell us what the right answer to that is.
The exact type of comment we hate receiving.
Yes, exactly. It is.
If you hear this and you're looking up to the right now with your neck outstretched, chill the fuck out. We don't care.
I always imagine too, we started talking about this 15 minutes ago and somebody is 2 paragraphs in and is hearing this part and going, oh, slowing down. Like
that's always baffled me because people continue to write in to podcasts, ours, others, whatever, and be that stereotypical person who believes they need to right the wrong of something someone said during a recording.
Yeah.
Podcast hosts always talk about that person, and yet those people, like, they must hear that and think, I'm still doing the Lord's work. I need to hit send on this email.
I need to. They need to hear my thoughts.
They are my bottom 10 favorite villains.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, honestly, this is a great one next time. The least favorite villains, least favorite heroes.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Because your least favorite heroes are really villains.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, villains in the sense that they're taking down the story one decision at a time.
Yeah.
Do you want to get into it, Andrew?
I'd love
our list
to.
of top 10 favorite villains. Before we do, can I say this?
Okay.
Most villains have a device, a weapon that they like to use, something that's kind of iconic towards them.
Sure.
Thanos has his gauntlet.
Yes.
For example.
Great choice.
Recently, we did our top 10 favorite weapons in video games. And we did a call for answers. And we've been actually in all the list episodes that we do, we've been asking for people to call in or email in with their list.
Absolutely. Let us know.
We keep neglecting to actually read them on the podcast. I want to read one because we got a list for the top 10 favorite weapons. And I thought it was a pretty good list. Okay. This is from Das Guy on Twitter, who also sent an email. Number 10, the hammer from Smash Bros.
Yeah. Nice.
And he says, I know you hear the music, which of course we do.
Yes, we do. Yep.
9, the Brotherhood from Final Fantasy X, which is Titus's sword.
Okay.
The whirligig from Saw from Bloodborne,
yeah.
which was a very fun one. A lot of people call it the pizza cutter. The Moonlight Greatsword from just about every Soulsborne game, which is one that I'm very familiar with as well. Very iconic. The shotgun from the Halo series. I had the sidearm from the Halo series.
Yes.
So a lot of good guns from the Halo series. 5, the mini nuke from Fallout 4. From Fallout in general. Number 4, the ray gun from Call of Duty Zombies.
Yep.
Number 3, Nightmare's sword from Soul Calibur, which is also very iconic. Number 2, Nightmare's sword I think had the eye in it, which was a pretty cool look.
That is cool.
Yeah, it was very
scary.
creepy. I would stab that eye straight in the eye.
Or I think that you have to have like a comic thing where eventually it's a lot of enemies and you hold up the sword and you look at each other like, all right, let's get to
Just
work.
rolling.
Yeah. Okay.
Number 2, a great sword, which is basically Guts' sword from Berserk, but is also in a lot of Soulsborne games. Number 1, the Master Sword. As normie as it is, he can't explain how important it was to him growing up, and he would draw it at school all the time.
That's a very sword-heavy list.
Yes, which we didn't have
any swords.
Any swords.
So good for you.
Thank you for Das Guy, Das Boot, big Das Boot fan. Yeah. So that's good. And if you have any entries into your list, could be top 10 villains, could be top 10 protagonists, weapons, any of the list episodes that we've done, go back and listen to them. They're always fun to record. We want to hear from you, and maybe we'll read them on the show if
love that.
If your list is good enough.
Yeah. So that means canonically, every other list that we've received has not been good enough to be on the show.
It's not been good enough.
Yeah.
So let's get into it, Andrew.
Okay.
The last
I
episode.
think my list is really good, and I don't know why you guys didn't read it. Also, Thanos didn't because the gauntlet protected. Oh my God.
My eyes hurt because I'm always staring to the right. My neck is strained. Okay, number 10.
Yeah, you go first because I've been going first a lot recently.
Yes, and we did our Mario hockey draft over on the Mushroom Club recently, where we drafted a full hockey team worth of Mario characters as though it was Mario Kart. That was a lot of fun. That was posted on the Mushroom Club just recently, so go join that. Patreon.com/Retrograde podcast for $5 a month for all the bonus episodes like that one.
Yep.
Number 10, Andrew,
for
me, is going to be one that I'm 99% sure is going to be on your list. And obviously everyone knows when this happens, when we have some crossover, we hold conversation about the selection until the lower of the numbers, the higher of the numbers has been selected. Number 10, the kind of villain I would fall for in real life. I also love the concept based on the book that I'm reading, Blood Meridian. I love the idea of the atrocious yet somehow charismatic leader of a band of villains. This one is Dutch from Red Dead Redemption.
Yes, Mikey, that is higher on my list.
I had a feeling.
So we're going to get to talking about Dutch van der Linde's
yes.
A little bit later then.
Okay, good. And you know, to salvage a little bit of all the hate that I get about my comments on Red Dead Redemption 2, Arthur Morgan was on my top 10 protagonists.
Yes.
Dutch is on my top 10 villains.
It's almost like your opinion on the game is wrong in general.
Again, it's a good game. The story's great.
Yeah.
The game is boring.
Oh, God, I just started a new note and I thought I deleted everything. And I'm like, oh, no. And I'm like, I can do this on the fly. All right. No. I'm good. What's your number 10? My number 10 is going to be a character that has an iconic design and really good voice acting. So, and while I don't talk about this franchise quite a bit, I've always thought the character of Handsome Jack is a really compelling villain in this world of these like gargantuan, outsized, monstrous characters and stuff like that.
And that's Borderlands, obviously.
It's Borderlands universe.
Yes. Yeah.
From the Borderlands universe, Handsome Jack, I think, always stood out in a great way of this slick, truly sadistic monster. And I've always been kind of like admired him from a distance.
I've liked his character design. His voice acting has been great. Gearbox, the developers of Borderlands, have always been a very funny company as well. They've got a great sense of humor, and their writing seems to be almost Insomniac-esque with its silliness.
Okay.
And similar to Insomniac, Gearbox creates great villains. Yeah. The type of character who, in spite of the fact that you despise them, you want to constantly see on screen because of that charisma, because of that draw. That's a great choice.
Yeah, so Handsome Jack is my number 10 for Borderlands.
Handsome Jack, number 10.
What a name.
Have you gotten like deep into many of what was the Borderlands game that you played the most?
3.
3?
Yeah, 3 was the one that I played like tip to tail. The soup to nuts.
Soup to nuts.
An expression I've never understood.
I've played only the taint of it, by the way.
Okay, really? Just right into the middle,
Just right into the middle.
Yeah,
why don't you understand soup to nuts, by the way?
What does it mean?
Soup to nuts isn't it? I mean, it's, but because I think if you when you think if you turn it and then the soup portion, when you're about to drink soup, it's on your mouth,
right?
And then your nuts are on the bottom of your
right.
Where are yours?
Mine midsection around the taint.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, same. Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah.
I got scared for a second.
It would be like an elf with the little curly shoes. Those are their testicles.
Testicles.
Yeah, they're right at the bottom.
The little jingle bell.
Yeah, little jingle bells at the bottom. Those are the testicles.
Yeah, soup to nuts. So you're getting from the mouth to the nuts.
How about this? I don't know if this is true. There's another person that's like, okay, after Thanos, I'm going to tell you about soup to nuts. What if it was a meal? It started with soup and it ended with nuts. And in the middle, there was like salad and proteins and stuff like that.
I mean, it's possible. I can't say
it's
that
better
you're
than
wrong
your suggestion.
No, it's not. The soup, when you're about to drink it, is on your mouth.
Okay. And the nuts part is?
It's because pee is stored in the balls. We all know this.
Yes.
So you eventually pee out the soup. So the soup goes from your mouth to your balls. Okay. That covers the length of most of your body.
Right.
About forehead excluded, legs excluded. But Andrew, you insensitive prick, we don't all have legs and foreheads.
That's true. Yeah, there's true.
Feeling good about yourself?
No, I feel really bad, especially with the lack of forehead people. I've got enough to spare for everybody. All right, so Handsome Jack for me. What's number 9 for you?
Number 9. Sometimes, Andrew, art holds up a mirror to yourself. No. Sometimes art holds up a mirror to yourself, and sometimes that mirror points out and exploits all of your flaws. My number 9 is the villainous Gary from Pokemon Red and Blue.
Oh, Mikey, I have that higher too.
You do.
I'm so
Amazing.
sorry.
No, this is good. This is good because
Okay.
we can bounce some ideas off of
I
each
was
other.
so easily gonna be like, wow, no way we're gonna have doubles. You know, because there's so many differences in Mikey and I's video game interests where there's like huge amount of games you could be
100%.
choosing from.
Yeah.
I don't want to name picks. I don't want to name picks, but you know,
Nope.
there was a frog pope. Just
If there were a frog. Oh, Turtle Pope.
Turtle Pope.
That's
Of course, I'm so sorry. That was so stupid.
Andrew.
Frog
Turtle Pope is not a villain.
Okay. Oh, no, he's a hero?
He's absolutely a hero. Turtle Pope, you're talking about Elden Ring.
Yeah.
If you kill him, he forgives you while he's dying. He is the best boy.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's
Just like the real Pope.
Yep.
The best boy.
100%. He's converting other amphibians to Catholicism.
Are turtles amphibians?
I don't know.
Or are they reptiles?
Reptiles.
I think so, right?
I think so.
They're probably a class of their own. There's no crying in the animal kingdom.
No. Well, they're also teenage and mutant, and
That's true.
like it's remarkable. They have interest in pizza.
Yeah.
All right. So I've stolen 2 of yours where immediately you can't talk. So
I'm pissed.
This is the greatest day of my life. Number 9 for me. You know what? Do I know what this person's background is? No, not really. Have I ever heard him say a word? No, other than inconsistent screamings. No. But the design of this character is so terrifying. And one of the things I always loved growing up, and I was always excited to face him right before the finish, Goro.
Goro. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
I love that pick.
Really?
Andrew.
Okay, you don't have Goro?
I don't. I
Nice.
thought about Mortal Kombat, actually.
Okay.
I thought about fighting games in general.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if I've just put all of my own idiosyncrasies onto these villains.
Yeah,
And
well-
I'm like, that's why I like them, because they're kind of blank slates.
We've done Mortal Kombat a couple times on this
Yeah.
show, and we've always talked about like they used to give you 3 sentences of a character, and you would consume it and be like, oh wow,
Yeah.
Johnny Cage is. By the way, Johnny Cage was I almost put on the list. I'm like, he makes a living out of punch people in the nuts. He's a villain,
True.
and he's rich, and we need to eat him.
That's 1%er and a nut puncher.
Yeah. Couldn't you just let us lowly blue collar people have a fight to the death? Why do you have to come down here and mess with us?
That's true. Johnny Cage, great character. Goro, I love that. What an intimidating son of a bitch.
The best.
You paste that guy on the arcade cabinet, put him on the box art of Mortal Kombat, put him in the instruction book. You see him as a menacing presence. When you used to play Mortal Kombat, how long did it take you in like the scope of time that you were playing the game to finally reach the end of that game and Goro, who is the second last fight?
I
think.
used to play a lot of Mortal Kombat, so eventually I got pretty good at it.
But the first time.
Oh, the first forever. I don't even know if I did probably.
Yeah.
But it just this is what the draw of Goro is.
Yes.
Even as you're entering the competition and the ladder goes from the top all the way down, you'd see him there and you're like, oh fuck.
I don't want to get to that guy.
It was so intimidating and so good. The 4 arms and oh my god, it's just the best.
That's unbelievable. 4 testicles too, you think?
Yeah, what do you deal? 2 dicks?
Okay, let's go through body parts.
Yeah, let's go through body parts.
Head, we know he has 1.
We know there's 1. Oh, that's tough.
Yeah.
Does he have 2 sets of teeth like a shark?
I bet you he only has like a limited number of very sharp teeth.
Yeah, like 6.
Like 6 very sharp
6
teeth.
very sharp teeth.
6
Combined. Yeah.
into 1 extremely sharp tooth.
He's like a baby.
He's a baby. Okay, hands. 4.
We know he has 4.
We know he has 4. Fingers on each hand.
Yeah.
5. I think. No, actually less, I think.
Is it 3?
I think it might be.
Oh, wow.
Biceps, 1 million.
So many.
So many.
He doesn't have quads. Biceps down there too. Just two sets of biceps.
A lot of people don't realize this. He actually had 4 more arms on his legs. They merged in 2 legs.
If you were Goro's personal trainer,
okay,
and you would have to be like, okay, Goro, got to do two times as much leg day. And he's like, fuck off, I know. And they're like, you can't whatever, man. Like, you have 4 arms. He's like, I know. He's at the leg press machine.
He's bench pressing two bars at a time.
Yeah. Well, push-ups would be too easy.
Do you think he even? Oh, that's true. Yeah, he wouldn't get much about that.
No.
But do you think he even needs to work out, or he kind of gets his steps in? His Fitbit is to the max because he's ripping people in half so often.
That's true, which is incredibly intensive.
It's harder than it looks.
Okay.
I will say that.
Do you think he has 2 shoulders or 4 shoulders?
He's got to have 4.
Really?
Because how else do the bottom arms move?
Maybe they don't. Maybe they just go back and forth.
Oh fuck.
Maybe there's no up and down movement.
Fuck. Goro, we gotta do you think he signed his donor card for when he does eventually lose in the Mortal Kombat tournament?
Right.
We can look into him.
Donate to science.
Donate to science.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be like one of those famous like athletes that like donates their brains
Yeah.
to the thing. And it's just like, I just imagine some doctor somewhere has got Goro's brain sitting there and then extra arms.
Fetal alcohol syndrome. Wow.
Wow. Should have seen that coming. Shao Tsung just like oh boy. I don't know.
Shang
about
Tsung,
this.
Shao Kahn.
Shang Tsung, thank you very much. Combine the two of them.
Combine the two,
Yeah.
exactly, just like Goro's arms. Number 8. Here's one, Andrew. We all love coins, and we all hate an unflappable baby face. And in this case, we get the love of coins with the punching in the face of a baby face.
Mhm.
It's Wario. And I don't have very many like first. Do you have?
I have Wario on my
You have
list.
Wario on your list too,
Mikey?
Holy
Mikey,
shit!
I'm just eliminating
Andrew,
you one by
please
one.
let me talk.
No, this is great.
Ah.
I should just lie the whole time too. And I get to number one.
I
You're like,
haven't.
wait a second. We didn't get to any of the picks. I was like, oh, that's too bad. That's weird how that worked out. Okay. My number 8. This is my most recent most recent entry on there.
Okay.
But I think I wanted to do a counterpoint of all these, like, so far I've had intimidating people
Sure.
for one reason or another.
Yeah.
Because of the power that they wield or whatever. But the personality is big and outlandish and all this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
right? You look at Goro and you're like, look at this fucking guy.
Look at this fucking idiot.
Handsome Jack is going to be like, I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm going to do to you.
Yeah.
I like the way that they did Odin in God of War.
I love that you picked Odin.
He's subtle, it's
Yes.
small, the motions are small, and it's dangerous in the way that a mob boss is dangerous.
Yes.
Not because they're the biggest guy in the world and they're going to crush you in half. It's because getting close means I can make you do whatever I want you to do.
Yeah.
And that is the toughest part. Odin has all the power in the world. He's literally God.
Yep.
And he could flip you in half and rip you in two and do whatever Goro wants to do.
Okay.
But
What?
slap me on the ass. Don't call me ever back again. Ooh, emotionally manipulate me. Oh my God, years of therapy. But he doesn't. It's almost more powerful to draw you close and go,
For sure.
and now you can't do anything about it.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
because I can make you do it. It's because you have to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that is the most dangerous kind of power of all. And I thought the portrayal was really great and the voice was so good. And I absolutely loved it because it was so scary. And what was a nice juxtaposition too is he's near and next to all these terrifying human beings.
Yeah.
Thor is just disgusting and great
Yeah.
and scary, and he doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
And that's what's kind of his power.
And we talk as well about how a performance can really sell
Yes.
a villain, especially on a list like this, to make it so that our affinity towards them is carried by the weight of the actor, and in this case, Richard Schiff.
Yeah.
I had Odin very close to
did
making
you?
my list.
Okay.
But I knew, I sacrificed Odin because I have the power to do that. I don't know if you knew this. It's actually relatively easy for
It's
me
like
to
Thanos.
do. Yeah, I just
snapped. Richard Schiff, and he's like, what the hell's going on?
I snapped. I disappeared. I was like, fuck. Gotta do this again in a multiverse scenario.
It's a Russian roulette game, really. Honestly, it is.
Nope, next multiverse.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Thank God. Okay, good. Next planet. Take my airplane.
But I knew I could sacrifice Odin because I had a feeling. I played strategic, and I figured Odin would be on your list, and I'm glad that he is, because for all the same reasons, I agree. Even not just Zeus, but Kratos, and how loud and rumbly and deep his voice is, and Richard Schiff as Odin is just the opposite of that.
Yeah.
In a way where you would think he's almost bubbly.
Yes.
He's almost so likable that you're like, he can't be bad.
No,
He can't be bad.
100%.
Yeah.
It's like he's unaware of the stakes. And
Yeah.
like, it's kind of like, you joke all the time. I make this joke all the time about Christopher Walken. Like every time he comes on stage, all the past history you have with him has already gotten to you going like, uh-oh, this guy's bad news.
Yes. Yeah.
And so when he's not and he's dancing, you're like, okay, great.
Yeah.
But something might happen.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the same with, you hear about Odin, you know what Odin could do. He comes in a cloud of ravens and then he's like, hey, walk with me. And you're like,
Yeah.
What? Why? Do you know what's going on? Because
Yeah.
I don't think you're good. And Odin number 8 for me. It's the newest one on the list, but I just really loved it.
I love it.
Stayed with me.
I'm very, very happy Odin made it. Number 7 for me is kind of the epitome of you love to hate without actually making you angry. Sometimes the anger you experience with a villain is tough to stomach up until a point, and that kind of villainy is like a bit abrasive sometimes. But when the villainy is always fun in a way, and you pigeonhole yourself because you kind of have to make this type of villain only suitable to a certain kind of game where the tone is a little bit brighter. But Dr. Nefarious from the Ratchet and Clank series makes a bunch of appearances, a lovable idiot who manages to be fairly capable and even in his failures and successes makes you shake your fist, but like, I can't fucking wait until I see you again is a lot of fun and perfectly suited for the tone of Ratchet and Clank as well.
Yeah, I'm so glad you had that one on there. there. You know, Dr. Nefarious is so good, but it's just like, it's such a counterpoint to all the things that are happening on screen. And I just also like the villains where it's not like, oh, this fucking guy again.
Yes.
It's like, ooh, what does he got? What's going on here? That's awesome.
And in spite of the fact that he's been in so many games, each of his appearances, he seems to take on a different personality. You know, the weight of his past failures and successes follow him in a comedic way, similar to Captain Quark, where he maintains this confidence that he has in spite of the fact that you've seen him fail atrociously several times over again. I remember specifically Dr. Nefarious in one of the games. I can't remember which one it was. It may have been Future Tools of Destruction, where he keeps having this thing where he short circuits and it plays like a soap opera. His vocal cords just play like this weird soap opera. It's very silly and very stupid, but I love it. Yeah. And you know, while I'm beating on a boss, especially if it's a frustrating encounter, beating on a boss. Is that what you said? Yeah. Did I say on? Yeah. When I'm beating off a boss. Okay. And HR knows nothing about it. And they never will. And they never will. He doesn't want it, by the way. No, he does not. I asked him. He said, no, it isn't perfect. And nothing can ever stop me. Because I am a white man. Yeah. That octopus is going to shut the hell up. We're clipping that. No. Nothing can stop me because I'm a white man. Oh, boy. Yes. That won't haunt me forever. When you're in one of those frustrating boss encounters, which there are plenty of in video games, if they constantly have like fun lines to go back to, it makes it a little bit less annoying to have to revisit some boss fights. And I remember in one of the Ratchet and Clank games having to repeat a boss fight a couple times and being annoyed, but also being like, yeah, you know what, Dr. Nefarious, he's carrying the weight of this. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. He's very evil. He's very evil. Yeah, that's what the strength. He's nefarious, man. So that's your number 7 pick. That is top 10 villains, and the first one you get to talk about, which is really exciting for you. Number 7 for me is going to be a titular character. He is in the title. The villain himself is in the title of the game. That's kind of crazy, right? It is. Yeah. I'm trying to think how many games could that possibly be where the villain is in the title. Dr. Mario? Absolutely. It's the medical system of Wii U, drugging everybody like crazy. Is it this goes into the Goro camp where you're just like, he's so cool because he's so tough to beat. Yeah. He's so strong. Yeah. And myself being a small little guy, but mighty. I like to face Mike Tyson. Ooh. The other one I will say is Mike Tyson, number 7 villain on the show, is that he's the only one that's actually been to real jail. So that's a little tough. Of course, that immediately gives him a little bit of cred. A little bit. That's why I passed Goro. Street cred. Yeah, Goro has a clean record, amazingly. Well, listen, the land that he comes from, it's just not illegal to rip people in half. No, yeah, they encourage it. It's encouraged. Yes, they give you money for it. Or I don't know, you get to keep living. Yeah, I think so. And you get to consume parts of their souls, probably. Delicious souls. I like Mike Tyson's Punch Out, especially because of how notorious he was for being unbeatable for so many people for so long. And yet he was kind of, you know, I like the Goro comparison because you know it's coming. Yeah. And finally it does, and your hands are sweaty, and you're like, I'd almost rather not be here right now. Take me back to Glass Joe. Yeah. Well, it's the same way. Like, you face a bunch of crazy characters, and then at the end you face this like dominant monster. Yeah. I don't know what you find crazy about Scorpion, though. To describe him as crazy is weird to me. You don't think you don't think he's crazy? Well, what specifically? He doesn't have skin. Andrew. Do you think his skin, the rest of his body, or is just his skull? Also, when he's taking off his mask, do you think it takes off his skin as well? Do you think the skin is like peeled onto the front of his mask? Yeah, he's like, well, take off the mask and the skin, take it all off, and then fire time. No, I've been pretty vocal about this. I think if you're self-immolating constantly, your skin's not growing back. You are mainly skeleton at that point. Take that up with dragons, okay? Okay, do you have a direct line, a number I can reach or something like that? Yeah. Actually, I saw the Dungeons and Dragons movie. Speaking of. Is it great? Yeah, it's great. I hear it's amazing. I loved it. Yeah. Very cute. But also, Chris Pine, charming guy. You want to spend time with him. Yeah. And I like the rapport among all of them, but they have a very funny dragon scene in it, so it just made me think about it. Okay. I don't think it's ruining. I think it's in the trailer, but the dragon's very chubby. Oh. And it's very funny. That is... I'm a chubby dragon. I just want to eat you. He definitely would have a southern accent. Let me take a little nibble. He's wearing a cotton suit. He's dabbing his forehead because he's hot. Dragon, are you trying to eat us? Oh, I would never. I would never. I do declare. Oh, my goodness. That is a dishonor against my family. Yeah.
You do look good though. Yeah. So yeah, there's
Of course I would not eat you. There's not a peppercorn around here to season you with.
I can't do anything with my Tabasco. Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson from Mike Tyson's
Mike Tyson
Punch-Out.
Punch-Out, number 7 villain for me.
I love that. Number 6 for me, I needed to leave space on my list for the pure horror pick.
Okay.
It's the villain who burrows their way into your psyche and stays there. No matter how old I get, no matter how much distance I have from the game, I can't forget. It's always there. I think about it all the time, even when I'm not playing video games. Andrew, my pick for number 6 is Snacker the Shark.
Oh my God, of course you're going to have Snacker the Shark.
Of course I'm going to have Snacker the Shark.
I totally forgot that you'd have that. It is the character. I'm surprised it's 6, to be honest.
Honestly, it should be higher.
I'm surprised
it scares me in my real life.
Yes, you real swim, and you're not Banjo-Kazooie in this, even
No.
though you are dressed very similarly, which is very odd. Yeah.
I do have a bird on my back
Yeah.
most of the time, which spits eggs.
Yeah.
And I butt stomp. I eat honeycombs by the hole.
Just in shorts, and isn't there the overall
Backpack.
Backpack.
In
that's what
which
it is,
the
yes.
bird stays, Andrew. I didn't mean the bird's just clanging onto my back. I don't wear a shirt, so it's going to rough my skin up. If
Yeah,
it's
you're
just
not like a
clawing
falconer.
me.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
of course
like
not.
gutching it. Yeah. Oh my God, I didn't even think about that. You should. I'm surprised it's only number 6 for you because it has scared you in real life, and I'm surprised we didn't get to number 1. And you're like number 1, something else. Number 00, of course, is Snacker the Shark, a real thing that I have a problem with.
It is. I'm not joking when I tell you that the feeling I get when I swim in even lakes is the feeling I have when I swim in Treasure Trove Cove in Banjo-Kazooie when Snacker the Shark is after you.
Yeah, the music, everything.
Go back to our Banjo-Kazooie episode that we did with Riley Little forever ago.
Yeah.
It must be 50 episodes ago now.
Sure.
Maybe more. We have a confrontation with Snacker
With
the Shark.
said shark, yep.
I've thought about that day for several times.
It's a real hero's turn, speaking of villains.
What do you mean?
Well, didn't you beat that level?
Oh, I did. Oh, hero's turn for me.
Yeah.
And I was the villain you were talking about?
Yes, I think we've established that you're the villain in this
I
podcast.
thought that I said that and everyone else was thinking, no way.
You're being like self-effacing?
Yes.
You're like, except I'm the villain. Like, Mikey, no, how
Mikey,
dare you?
You should never talk about yourself.
You're my
that
biggest
way.
hero.
Thank you.
We should have posters that people can put up in their walls. Just us.
Change.
Yeah. Hope. Number 6, Snacker the Shark for you.
Yes.
Okay. Number 6 is one that we finally get to talk about together a little
Yay.
bit. Number 6 is going to be Wario.
Wario.
It's funny we both have Wario and neither of us have Bowser.
100%.
Yes.
Why do you think that is?
Okay, because there's been a trend on TikTok. There's like a sound. This was like a month ago though. Is that there was a sound about like, it's like it sounds like an informative video from like the 60s. Like,
Sure.
If you ever see yourself in the wild, run or something like that, or don't respond. There's nothing scarier. Yeah, big dragon's scary.
Yeah.
Big large turtle.
Sure.
Obviously trying to sell you pizza and stuff like that. Very scary. But is it the most scary thing of all is yourself. And Mario gets to see across of everything he could have been, but if his life went very evil.
Okay.
And so I just think it's much scarier that he's like, oh God, I got to face myself, the evil version of myself.
That's true.
That's very scary to me.
So you're thinking about this from the perspective of Mario.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good way to look at it. In my mind though, I think we talk about the boring protagonist, and that is Mario to a T.
Oh yeah.
The baby face who's just never give up. Never give up.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Chris Pratt. Never give up.
I will never give up.
Depending on the scene. Sometimes I'll have a little bit of an accent.
Says America never failed me, and I'll never fail America. He like plants a flag. You're like, what part of Mario is this? I don't remember this.
Instead of stars, it's just mushrooms.
Yeah.
On there. Yeah.
I mean, don't forget to pray to God because Bowser, I'm sending you to hell. And you're like, what the fuck is this? There's religion in this?
I think Bowser would do great in hell.
Yeah, he's very satanic in general. The fire and
the
stuff.
Fire. He would love it. He'd be right at
too.
home. But why specifically would Bowser not make this list?
Because Bowser falls into the same reason why Mario didn't make my list.
Exactly.
He is a avatar of evil. There's not really a lot of personality.
That sounds like number
James
3.
Cameron?
Yeah.
Is that he doesn't have any personality. He's into kidnapping princesses. Kind of.
Yeah.
And
isn't that what Mike Tyson went to jail for too?
Yeah, kidnapping princesses. 100. Yeah, I think so. And then some other stuff. It's probably not the podcast we want to talk about it. And so like I just don't have an attachment to them. Where at least Wario, I can get behind why he's kind of like being evil.
He's kind of in it for himself, not in the same way. Bowser, his ambition is so wide sweeping.
Yeah.
Wario is like, give me fucking coins.
Yeah.
I want to be pretty rich.
Yeah.
Not so rich. I don't want to be Bezos. I want to be.
What do you think? Who are you going to use? Oil tycoon rich?
Yeah, probably Oil Tycoon.
Yeah.
You know what? But
good game.
And I will say Oil Tycoon is similar because Wario in like Wario's Woods, basically like I'm pretty sure he like poisons the woods for his own benefit.
That's pretty awesome.
So he's oil baron level rich.
Yeah, yeah. And he also evil.
He drinks our milkshake.
Yeah. he's evil enough that like you're like, oh, that's a good evil. Yeah. That's a very good evil.
Yeah.
You know?
What's the most evil you would be?
What's the most evil thing I'd be comfortable with doing? Have you ever shoplifted in your life?
No, never. Never. I couldn't.
No.
I couldn't.
I'd feel bad.
I joke about being the villain. Joke. I have the guiltiest conscience in the entire world.
Yeah, you know who's your villain? You.
Yes.
Yeah, you are simultaneously both the villain and hero of your own life. Are we all though in a way? Yeah, I don't know. We're a couple good boys, so I'm not too sure that this is like the right angle for us to take because like I couldn't imagine.
Would you
lying? Maybe lying.
I fucking hate lying.
I do too, but like I could, but I would have to convince myself there was a good reason to do it.
Would you steal
a loaf of bread to save your starving family?
Fuck that, no. I'd steal sushi to save them. I'd chop up an
Wagyu.
octopus. Only the best for my poor family.
Well, you should get a job. Shut up. I'm just gonna steal Wagyu every once in a while.
How am I supposed to tell the time without a Rolex, bitch?
Whoa, Jesus. Dad, we're so sick of eating all this caviar. Shut up. The caviar guy's is narcoleptic, and I can always steal it off the truck whenever I want.
Now finish your champagne and go to bed.
Glug.
Would you steal? This is an honest question.
Okay.
Would you commit bank fraud? Like a wire thing. You realize there's a back door to Jeff Bezos, like a very rich person, and you can steal like $1,000, like $50,000 worth of his money, and there's fucking no way it's a decimal of a decimal of a decimal. Would you do it?
I don't know. I like the idea of stealing from the rich. I just don't know if I like the idea of stealing for the rich for my own profit.
Okay.
I think if it was like a Robin Hood scenario, I'd be much more like, yeah, okay. Yeah. I think so. But just to go like, now
so you'd shoot him in the head with an apple? That's what Robin Hood does, right?
Yeah, 100%. Hangs out with a bunch of weird men. Lives in the forest. Actually, this sounds pretty good.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's like, what do you guys think? Just like hanging out with a bunch of guys all the time. They're like, I don't know, that sounds pretty good. I'm like, all right, sounds good. If it's a Robin Hood scenario, yes. But if it's just like all of a sudden that now I just have $50,000, I'm like, oh, okay.
No, you couldn't because we're talking about a villainous thing.
Yeah.
And I think the virtue of spreading the wealth to people who need it.
Unless you just lit it on fire or something.
Oh, Andrew.
Yeah.
Now we're talking Max Holloway's tattoos. The Joker.
Also, we're talking Mario. I was like, get me the Italian. Yeah.
Okay, so that's good. So Wario was your number 6.
That's my number 6.
Number 5. This is one I'm very excited to talk about, Andrew. Sometimes it's not about who the villain is, but what they do. And sometimes what they do is so wondrously villainous and memorable that I have to doff my cap to them in a series which had at one time 4 entries on my list.
Whoa.
This one stood above them all. It's Psycho Mantis from Metal Gear Solid. Is that your number 1 pick?
That's my number. It's coming up.
Oh, it's coming up. Sorry, not number, but that
very
is,
quickly.
I mean, from the Metal Gear
That
franchise.
is the one from the Metal Gear Solid one, but we could talk about the Metal Gear franchise, excuse me.
When we get to it, let's talk about
all the other entries.
All the other
ones. 100%.
Because it turns out, I think maybe more than any franchise, argument potentially to be made for Far Cry, the best villains come from Metal Gear.
So Far Cry, okay, we got to talk about Far Cry afterwards too. Okay, so let me just do number 5 and then we can kind of go from there, okay? Number 5, Max Holloway's tattoo. It's so funny you brought it up. Like, no way. The Joker from the Arkham series.
How many people who haven't heard, because I think we talked about it on.
Oh, we talked about it.
I think it was on the Mushroom Club.
Yes.
Where we talk about Max Holloway's tattoo.
Max Holloway is an MMA fighter. He fights with the UFC. He has a tattoo of the Joker. Heath Ledger's Joker. Heath Ledger's Joker specifically. And we were talking about it.
Oh, no, it was the gameplay segment of Super Mario World.
Okay.
Which, by the way, I think is 45 of the best minutes we've ever recorded. I fucking loved it. You should watch it on YouTube if you haven't already.
Please do. Please check out our YouTube channel. Yeah. That'd be really nice. Is that how many professional athletes have Heath Ledger's tattoo?
It's wild.
Heath Ledger's Joker, as a tattoo. It's crazy. It's a crazy number. There's an article on The Athletic about it. How many? Because they're
so
like,
weird.
Why is it this guy It's kind of like we've made the jokes in the past about Scarface, and it's like, have they seen the second half of the movie? And it's kind of like same with Joker. Like he was kind of bested. Like, oh, okay, whatever. But the Joker in the Arkham series is voiced by Mark Hamill.
Yes,
and I really do. I struggle to say this because of obviously how great Heath Ledger was. He won an Oscar for the portrayal, and kind of it will be the thing he is remembered by because he died shortly afterwards. Is that I do think this is the best version of the Joker.
Yeah.
I think it is the
Mark Hamill's
is the best version. And I like the Arkham design because Mark Hamill also did the voice in the animated series as well from the 90s, early 90s. But I think the design and everything based and the way that they use the Joker as a perfect foil to Batman.
Yeah.
And just how they are fused into one person, literally
by Arkham Knight,
and that is the best way to describe the Joker. He doesn't exist without Batman, and they have to complete each other. And I just really love the design because I actually kind of, as much as I like Heath Ledger's Joker, it's really great and all that kind of stuff. I get really tired of the gritty, like, oh, what's so gritty?
100%.
I love the theatrical version of the Joker.
Yes.
I love that it's over the top and like he would want to do that. That's part of the design of the character,
right? And
I think they really nail that balance, and they really nail that that level of showiness versus the sadistic nature of Joker in these games.
I've always said Heath Ledger's portrayal of the Joker is a great villainous performance, but in my mind, it isn't the Joker because you talked about it. The Batman and the Joker are foils, which means the dark grittiness of Batman has to be matched with the colorful flamboyance of the Joker, and it's so perfectly realized in Arkham Knight. I considered having it on my list as well, but I thought, was it drawing a little bit from the comics or not? So I stayed away from it, but I agree. I think Joker from the Batman franchise, the video game franchise, the Arkham franchise, may be the best version of the Joker that we've got, comic book, movie, TV, anything.
Well, and that's really tough because you have so many memorable versions.
Yeah.
Jared Leto and others. It's really tough to say that, like, which one is the best. Yeah. You're talking about Heath Ledger and Jack Nicholson. Like, it's really tough. But Mark Hamill does such a good job with it. And I think those games really get to spend time together. Yeah. And that's the stuff that you really did. Runner up, Man-Bat.
Man-Bat. Yes. That's a good one.
Yeah, thanks. Totally terrifying.
Number 4 for me, there's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me, you can't get fooled again. This villain managed to fool me again and again and again. And like a younger brother, I let it happen. Just like George Bush let us make fun of him for making that gaffe in one of his speeches. My pick for number 4 is Patches from Dark Souls.
Whoa.
And I know that's not going to mean a lot to you, Andrew, but Patches to me.
Patches?
Patches. His name is Patches. Okay. He is in every... Is he in Sekiro? I'm not sure.
Okay.
But he's in just about every FromSoft game. And he takes the form of a wandering traveler, typically a merchant. And every time he fucks you over big time. And then you catch him and you can kill him if you want. But the understood rule is you don't kill him because he begs and pleads for his life. He apologizes, says it was just a joke. And the next chance he gets, he fucks you over big time again. And it is so funny to the point where you know it's going to happen. And you're like, I can't wait to see what weird shit this guy pulls to me. It accumulates in one of my favorite moments is in Dark Souls 3. Everyone's most lovable character, this guy, Sigmire. He's in this big, you may have even seen it. It's like this big, they call it the onion armor. It's like this big, almost looks like the Michelin Man.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and he pushes the Michelin Man down a well. And you find the Michelin Man, Sigmire, or Siegfried, I can't remember which one it is in that game because he takes 2 different forms in Dark Souls 1 and 3. And you hear him down a well and he's like, I seem to have lost my armor. Can you find my armor? And then you run across him like with this armor later, and he's like, can you walk across this ledge for me? I need you to get something. And as soon as you walk across the ledge, there's like all these dangerous enemies down there.
Nice.
And Patches takes the helmet off. He's the one who pushed Sigmar down the well, stole his armor, lowers the elevator thing, and you have to go face this like barrage of enemies. And he was like, the actor is doing an impression of Sigmire's voice, but in Patches' voice, which is really impressive. Cool. And it's so fucking fun. And I love every time I get a chance to see what sort of mischief Patches is going to get up to.
I love that. That's great. Yeah. I love those kind of characters that just like, oh, that son of a bitch did it again.
100%.
All right. So that was your number 4.
That was my number 4.
My number 4 is going to be something we could talk about together. We're we're going to talk about Psycho Mantis.
Psycho Mantis. Amazing.
Yeah.
Why, Andrew, why don't you tell me this? Why Psycho Mantis over? Before we get into the names of the other ones.
Fair enough.
Why in a franchise with so many good villains was Psycho Mantis the one that stood out to you?
You're going to see this in the last four entries into the villains list here, is that they almost all signify a very important moment in video gaming for me.
Cool.
Psycho Mantis, you and I had this moment together. It was our first kiss.
Yeah.
And it was when we played this game, and
It was a Psycho Man kiss.
The idea of psycho is so funny to me.
You ready for this?
This is gonna get weird. Yeah, just somebody like watching, like eating popcorn, like that was truly a Psycho Man kiss.
Heath Ledger's Joker just, some people want to watch. You know what? That was a little creepy for me, actually.
I didn't like that. I need to shower for a bit. So this is the game that broke the fourth wall. This is the game that made you aware that you were a gamer playing a game.
Yep.
And he was aware that he was in a game and you're a gamer.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing just broke me. And also on top of that being the conceit. When you walk down that hallway for the first time and there's blood everywhere and there's a few people.
That's Gray Fox. The hallway is Gray Fox.
I'm combining the two. I'm so sorry.
Another character who I almost had on the list was Gray Fox.
Yeah, and then I got a couple from Metal Gear. It's unbelievable. But just that moment of breaking the fourth wall in a meta sense.
Well, explain what the conceit is.
Oh, sorry. Yes. So he could predict out all your moves.
Yeah.
And he was always knowing exactly what you're going to do. And right before you're there, and he would beat you every time.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'd get maybe a hit-in. And you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And eventually, I think it was over the walkie-talkie radio system.
The codec,
the codec, thank you very much. That they were thinking like, why don't you move? I think it's both your controller and your memory card.
No, it's just your controller to the second port.
To the second port, so he can't predict your movement.
Yeah.
And
brilliant.
When you do that, you're like, what the fuck?
When you get a call in-game from the colonel who's explaining to you that you, not as Snake, like he's talking to Snake, but you feel very seen. He's like, why don't you try moving the controller to the second port? Snake has no point of reference for that. So you know you're being spoken to by the game, and it's this weird moment of feeling seen. Like, no, don't look at me. I'm Snake. He's my avatar.
Wizard of Oz stuff.
Very strange.
Yes.
The memory card thing that you're thinking of is if you had a Konami game saved on your memory card, Psycho Mantis would be like, I hear you're a fan of Castlevania.
Yeah.
You're like, what the fuck is this dude's problem, bro? Take the mask off. It's a gas mask for no reason.
I killed Dracula.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, that's
truly psycho.
Yeah, I've always remembered that exact moment. There have been so few moments in gaming where you play all these games for so many hours. I shiver to think about how many hours I've played games in my life. And these are the moments that stand out that you go, this was gaming to me, that you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And it just changed the way you saw video games forever. Why is it the entry for you?
Basically, you touched on all of it. The thing I'll say is I use that story as a way to explain to non-gamers how self-aware gaming can be, how it can, like, when if you ever hear something like games are not art, I'm like, what about this moment? Show me a medium that can do this to you. Physically require you to unplug something to progress the story.
It's literal symbolism that has like come to life. You know what I mean?
It's so cool.
I
cool. Love that. I think about it all the time, almost as much as Snacker the Shark.
So if it wasn't going to be Psycho Mantis, what were you going to put on the list?
So I had Gray Fox as well. Gray Fox specifically because of that hallway scene, and I mentioned before we started to list to go through our lists that redemptive arcs mean a lot, I think, and Gray Fox being one of the best, comes to help you out, and you eventually have to sacrifice him because you have to shoot him as Metal Gear is like crushing him, and he's like, take the shot, whatever. Gray Fox was fantastic. Was there another one on your list?
Oh, Revolver Ocelot.
Yeah, he was there too.
So Revolver Ocelot, because it's just bananas.
Yes.
It's just like very part and parcel for the Metal Gear series in general, where you're like, wait, what?
Yes.
And you're like, the fact that they dress the way he does, and they've got huge, huge monsters that are attacking you, and all these kind of incredible guns that you can have, including a box. And then, and this guy's just like, yeah, I just got a 6-shooter.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Great.
what? It's
but he's
so
so
cool.
good at it. He's so good at it. Gets his arm cut off.
Yep.
I chose Revolver Ocelot as well over Liquid Snake, who would have been another choice potentially. Liquid Snake being a little bit more of like the villainous villain, like a Bowser type. Revolver Ocelot always seemed to be the one behind the scenes who had a bit of a better grasp on what was going on, a bit more of a plan, and then shows up in a bunch of other video games, including Snake Eater, a prequel. You get to play as a young cocky Revolver Ocelot. I've always loved that character. I can't get enough of him.
I love that. Oh, so that's amazing. So we both had, Psycho Mantis. My number 4, your number 5.
Fantastic. So my number 3.
Yeah, wow, we're getting there.
This one might be, I don't know, maybe a little bit controversial. I'm not sure, but we'll see. When a villain turns to the good side, that feat of redemption seems to rise them above a good person who has upheld their morals without wavering. And when a good person takes a villainous turn, the reverence you had for their good side makes the fall that much more severe. But when a good person doesn't change, but your perspective does, it makes you question everything you thought you knew about them and about yourself. Andrew, my number 3 is Ellie from The Last of Us Part 2.
Whoa!
Yes.
Ellie
from The Last of Us Part 2. And now what I'll say about this is she is by no means a objective villain.
No.
What I love about The Last of Us Part 2, and one of the reasons I like it a lot more than The Last of Us Part 1, is it starts to give you perspective and really question the motives, as the TV series did a good job of in Part 1. Like, is Joel a good guy? Probably not. From everyone in the hospital, from every Firefly there, from the doctor who he shoots in the fucking head.
Yeah.
He's not a good guy.
Yeah.
And The Last of Us Part 2 really starts to play with that feeling and that perspective of like who is right and who is wrong. And what is it to be a villain? And in spite of that, all cards on the table, trying to take all accounts and all perspectives into account, I still think Ellie comes out as doing more than she needs to in the realm of bad choices to better herself and hurt the greater good.
Okay. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because objectively, I don't think she's a good person.
Yeah.
But I would also say she's in a world with no good people. I don't think you meet people in that game and go like, well, this is the guy.
Yes.
You know, kind of thing. So I understand that she takes so many lives.
Yes.
Right? Both canine and human alike.
Bear.
Yeah. Oh God, that's the saddest. Saddest scene. But her being villainous, I think is the insinuation. Do you think Ellie knows she's doing evil?
No. But I don't think that that's necessary.
Okay.
And I know that in our current legal system, mens rea, I don't know if that's the same with the US, like mens rea, actus rea, the guilty act and the guilty mind.
Right.
I don't know if it's the same with the US.
No, they don't have Latin.
They move past Latin.
No, they're scared of Latin.
But don't they have Latin America?
No, they're terrified of it.
Okay.
They're trying to close the border.
Trying to close the border.
Oh no, he's speaking Latin. Oh God.
I thought they only spoke Mexican.
Good sir, you need to learn the Queen's English, my boy.
English. No, in a world like you said, full of villains, I think it's more about the output of acts as opposed to whether you think everyone is out for themselves, of course. But there are certain moments where there are decisions that are made to pick at that scab that Ellie makes, I think, more than a lot of characters in there.
I totally understand what you're saying. It's your list, so you're absolutely allowed to do what you want. I think what number 2 does is that it can show you a lot of perspectives how many of us could be villains of our own story.
Yes.
You're a hero of your own story, blah, blah, you know, everyone knows that's a cliche. But if you could be the villain of somebody else's without even knowing.
Yes.
You know, I'm not going around killing canines and humans.
Yes.
It makes it pretty easy to look around and go like, well, that person's the villain.
Yes.
But it is funny that I could have said something devastating to turn someone into the Joker in grade 3. And, you know, and that's just, they'll always remember me. And I'm like, who's that person? I don't even know.
Well, so good point. What I will say, sometimes you make them.
That's very rare. That's a very rare compliment from you.
I'll clarify is I'm not arguing that Ellie is the most villainous villain.
Sure.
This is my list of top 10 villains because your appreciation of a villain is often complicated. And I love Ellie. You know, it's like I'm seeing a person who I want to do better, not do better.
Yes.
And that complicated feeling really stirs something up in me, which is why she's up there as my top 10 favorite villains.
See, I totally get that. Also, terrifying.
Yeah,
It's 125 pounds and she will rip you to shreds. It's like her versus Goro, and Goro's like, get me out of here. She has a bow and arrow.
I was going to say, and then when Goro turns to leave, he walks on like one of the nail frag grenades that are frag mines.
Oh God, the screaming and
my God.
I want to play that game again.
I know. Honestly. Will you play it again before season 2?
I will.
I think I will too.
It's a really good game,
Yeah.
and plus we're on like the 7th remake now, so like it's only getting better, like in the images and stuff. So there you go. Your number 3 is Ellie from Last of Us 2. My number 3 is something we get to talk about now again. Let's talk about Gary.
Gary from Pokemon.
What a hilarious name now that we get older.
Yeah, Gary. I was so intimidated by Gary.
You know, it's funny because I liked Pokemon Yellow. I know that's like kind of a controversial take in the Pokemon lore.
No, that was controversial to me and Riley when we talked about a long time ago whether Yellow is put above Red and Blue. But Yellow is the best version of Red and Blue. So it's totally acceptable.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, we can discuss this further though. But yeah, I agree. Okay, that's fine. I liked it when they started, giving Gary more of a backstory. Mm-hmm. In Red and Blue, there is a lot there where it is he's like, he hates you.
Yes.
You're the favorite. He hates you at every opportunity. He's trying to fuck with you. And what really worked well for Gary in my experience of Pokemon is I hated Gary.
100%.
Holy God, did I hate Gary? And if that's what a villain is, they did a great job making him a villain, because every time he showed up, I'm like, I am going to kick the shit out of these guys. I'm not going to tell him to hold back. I hope he kills one of their Pokemon.
Did you? Yeah, they're not going to faint.
No, they're not going to faint.
And if they do, I'm crushing that Cubone skull between as the trainer's bare hands.
Yeah, I look at Charizard and I'm like, he looks back at me. I'm like, Squirtle, American History X. And he's like, what? And he's like, American History X. And he's like, okay, just curb stomps him.
Yeah, I'm going to make sure that Mr. Mime never smiles again. That's, yeah.
Make it a frown.
Make it a frown. I don't read Gary quite the same way as you. I read Gary, and this is what makes him so perfectly villainous. I fucking hate Gary. I don't think Gary thinks about me at all.
Oh, that's devastating.
In the Mad Men scenario.
He definitely does, though.
I think he's just like, oh, you're here too? I guess we'll battle. But he's always a step ahead.
He is. I hate that part of it.
Yeah.
I hate that he's like doing better than me. But did you ever really lose to Gary in those games? I feel like I always had a good handle on him.
I think I did. That must mean he's a terrible Pokemon trainer.
I agree.
Because he, by default, I'm pretty sure picks the Pokemon that counters yours, doesn't he?
Yes.
Because I had Bulbasaur. I think of course I had Bulbasaur.
Crazy choice.
I think he had Charmander. I'm pretty sure.
I think that makes sense.
And I think that makes it in this rock, paper, scissors game of life we call Pokemon.
Yeah, except in Pokemon, they will sell you the fact that like, Gary doesn't truly love his Pokemon.
And
that's his problem. And you're like, I don't know.
I don't love my Pokemon either. I just want them to kick Gary's ass.
A few hundred of them have been in like stasis for months. I haven't even visited them at all.
I like the idea that you go out and catch 1,000 Tauros and Gary comes and throws out his Charmander and you take 1,000 Pokeballs and cause a fucking stampede. He's like, that's against the rules. I'm like, oh, I'm not playing by rules, Gary. I'm pointing at Gary. I'm like, get him. And they're like, wait, what? You can't do that. I'm like, yes, kill him. You cut off the head, the body dies too. It's like, what the fuck is going on? Or you look at, look at the whatever, Rattata, and he throws out Rattata, and you're like, I will give you $100 to kill your owner. And he's like, what? My Tauros just run towards Gary. I huck a mousetrap at Rattata. Hits him right in the head. I call Rattata. It's like, Gary, I call gun. And then just shoot him as many times as possible. I love it. I love that Gary's on there. Yeah. I hated Gary. Fucking hated. To this day, I hated Gary. Do you have any Garys in your life? No. Thank God. Because I'd hate them too. Yeah. If you're at home right now and your name's Gary, change it. And sure, Gary, we used to play basketball together all the time. And you had a great 3-point shot. Whoa. And I vouched for you to the coach. I thought you should have made the team. I still hated you. Yeah. Your name was Gary. Yeah, stupid name. Fuck off. Yeah. You're always one step ahead of me, you slimy fuck. My number 2, Andrew. Yes. I don't have much to say about this except, would you kindly allow me to start talking about the second greatest villain in gaming history? It's BioShock's Andrew Ryan. This is my number 2 as well. Number 2. Yes. Perfect. Okay. So mine, yes. So you said the would you kindly? Yes. I said, is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow? Ooh. Andrew Ryan is such a compelling character because
you know, we talk at length about BioShock. You know, funny enough, we have to figure out a way to do it on the podcast.
We have to, yeah.
It is, I think, singularly my most favorite video game experience of all time. And in no small part is due to Andrew Ryan and the outsized character that he is in the game. Your actual interactions with him are pretty minimal in the huge...
Impactful, literally, but minimal.
I would say so. And it just all culminates in this incredible final scene.
Yes.
But what's really interesting is the character that they evolve around that and the backstory that you give him. Because in many ways, he doesn't feel like a video game character. He doesn't feel like Goro Bowser.
Not at all.
He feels like a literature character.
Yes.
He feels like a character from a book that you're like, man, that fucker. He's so smart.
Yeah.
You respect him because you're like, look what he's created.
100%.
And the ideology behind it, and even though I don't agree with it, you're like, wow, he really did it.
Yeah.
Good for him. And to the compassionate, pathetic nature at the end.
Yeah.
That he is asking you to kill him.
And you have no choice in the matter.
I think it's just one of the greatest story arcs of a villain in a video game.
I totally, like, honestly, almost not even just a video game. Just as it, for memorable moments of interactions between protagonist and villain, that is up there with some of the best. And it's interesting as well, we keep talking about these games where there is a villain. There is the villain, the person with whom you have your final battle. And in this one, that is Atlas, aka Frank Fontaine.
Yep.
And nowhere near the top 10 on my list.
No.
Because not that Frank is bad, Atlas is bad, but because you look so much worse as a villain, especially the fact that you have like a final battle scene where he turns into a monster because he's chock full of plasmids. Yeah. Andrew Ryan doesn't need that shit. No. Andrew Ryan is very much more like Richard Schiff as Odin. And I think that goes a long way. Their villainy is in their decisions as opposed to their physical appearance. And I think that's respectable with Andrew Ryan.
I do. One of the first scenes that you have in the whole game is seeing his huge 30-foot bust over only serves, doesn't serve God or whatever, serves man. And
there are no
gods, no kings,
no gods, no kings, only man.
Only like man, that. Something like that. Yeah. And that's the first thing you see is him looking down at you over that.
Yeah.
And it's that specter that you live this whole game in, of that you're in his world. A world he created. And it's not a world like on another planet. It's a world of your planet that you know.
Yes.
Except everything is just slightly off. And that's because of you're inside his mind.
Yeah.
And I just think Andrew Ryan is just the way that it all culminates to, the way it ends, I just think is such a perfect arc for a character.
It's absolutely perfect. Also, you talk about a way we can fit BioShock into the podcast. And I think if we do that, we also need to have a counter element on the Mushroom Club where we read word for word, page by page, The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand.
Yeah.
By the way, this is just occurring to me. Frank Fontaine, The Fountainhead, Atlas, Atlas Shrugged.
Oh, that's probably not a coincidence at all.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
That is really good.
Ayn Rand symbolism is chock full, is all over the place.
Ayn Rand they do. It's Ayn Rand, it's the teachings of Ayn Rand.
Yes.
So, I think that's so good. I'm so glad we both had him number 2 on the list.
Same. I had a feeling, and I had a feeling that my number 10 would be your number 1 as well, because that leaves it up. So I will go with my number 1 first. I'm a little surprised this didn't make your list.
Okay.
But a villain whom you don't have to understand in order to love, their unwavering villainy and unabashed insistence that they have done nothing wrong can't help but endear themselves to me. It's GLaDOS from Portal.
Oh, that's a great choice.
Yeah.
That should be on my list.
GLaDOS, we talk about the Dr. Nefarious, the ability to spit in your face and then shake your hand and all is forgiven somehow. Patches is the same. Dr. Nefarious, GLaDOS the same way. Like, you escape the clutches when GLaDOS sends you to die, and you're like, and she's like, oh, that was another test. Come back to the main room and we'll have cake. Like, it's so perfect. I love GLaDOS, perfectly voiced. In Portal 2, you get Stephen Merchant's character, also villainous, not quite as original as GLaDOS. GLaDOS to me is the peak.
See, I love that. That's a great choice.
Yeah.
Just, with so few characters in that game, so few voices that are in your head, to have this one antagonist, excuse me, that is with you. It's kind of like my Joker pick.
Yeah.
Where it's like they don't really leave you. They're always there kind of going like, now what are you doing? You're like, okay, relax. You know what I mean?
You can't escape. They're always watching.
Just needling you and stuff. That's a really good choice.
But there's that weird moment in Portal after after GLaDOS sends you to die and you escape, and for the first time GLaDOS can't see you. And it's like you're the rat in the wall, and she's just kind of sitting there like, where are you? Like, all of a sudden the power dynamic has shifted. What a great fucking feeling. Loved it.
great game. That's a great choice. Your
Yeah.
number one, GLaDOS from Portal. My number one is something you've already talked about. It's your number 10. It's going to be Dutch van der Linde from the Red Dead franchise.
Yes.
You know, why? What can I say about Dutch? You know, he is Arthur Morgan. He's the gang leader for the main character of Arthur Morgan in Red Dead 2. And he is the person that is the first mission that you are ought to kill by John Marston in number 1. And so because of the reverse timeline, what's great about Dutch?
Wait a second. In Red Dead Redemption 1,
Yeah.
you kill Dutch van der Linde?
Yeah, you go and kill Dutch in the beginning.
I honestly didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Isn't that so great?
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I love that.
There's a few of the characters that you recognize from.
I knew there were others, but I didn't realize Dutch was the first guy you killed.
The first thing and it also helps propel the John Marston story so much more now because you're like, I'm getting revenge.
Yes. That's fantastic.
What's great about Dutch, down to the character design and the incredible voice acting, is you often forget in number 2 where you spend the majority of time with him. You forget he's a villain.
Yeah.
Even though you've played the whole game number 1 and you go, that guy sucks, right? I'm going to kill that guy, right? The whole time you almost forget in this very paternal character that he is a bad guy. He is the snake oil salesman.
Sure.
He is the traveling pastor that is trying to sell you magic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you believe him.
Yeah.
He constantly makes you believe that we just got to stay together. We just got to be together here. You know what I mean? Like, don't lose faith in me now, Arthur. You know, and that kind of thing of drawing them back together and the strength of doing it. And in that way is why you realize cults exist in the first place.
Like I said, I would fall for a villain like Dutch.
100%.
Yeah.
He makes you feel needed and wanted.
Yeah.
And in that way, he can use you to do whatever you want. And because he found the perfect disciple in a few of them, but especially in Arthur, who is genuinely a good person and just wants to do right by things. He's like, well, I don't want to disappoint Dutch.
Yeah.
Dutch. And Dutch just is so compelling because he is at every opportunity showing you how evil he can be.
Right.
He's showing you that he's going to take the wrong turn, and yet you forgive him and you move with him. Not only because you have to as a video game character, but as a player, you're like, I don't know, I understand where he's coming from. He's just trying to protect everybody. Man, Dutch van der Linde is just one of those ones that's just giving me an archetype that you know, when they talk about making Red Dead into a TV show or into a movie or something like that, you do it not because of John and not because of Arthur,
but because of Dutch.
Yeah, because you could see that on character. Somebody just sinking their teeth into it.
Who has the responsibility of playing Dutch van der Linde?
It has to be just oozing charisma.
Has to be,
and that's the thing that it is in a very static world where like you don't forget for a second that these are fake characters.
Yep.
Dutch felt like a real person.
100%. Now, I want to ask you this because you talk about how intrinsically evil Dutch is. Similar to when we were talking about Ellie. And you said, do you think Ellie thinks Ellie has the propensity for being evil?
Sure.
Do you think Dutch believes he's being evil, or do you think it's an ends justifies the means kind of thing for him?
I think Dutch does goes through a lot of hula hoops to figure out how he thinks he's doing the right thing.
Yeah.
I don't think for every 1 second he is like, they're all kind of snakes in a long way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he's always playing the long con and he's, you know, whatever. I think they all realize they're in it together. So if they're all in the mud, then everyone's dirty kind of thing, right? But Dutch, I don't think for a second realizes that if he had to, he'd shoot every single one of them in the back.
True. That's true.
You know, and he does. Systematically eliminates all of them almost.
But like stereotypically psychopathic, I think he would believe that they all have to go to realize this vision that they could have been here to experience had only they listened to him.
Exactly.
Which is a great character trait to write into someone.
And the second that somebody fails or somebody goes, they're betraying us and now we need to cut them loose.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every time they try to tell you, it's through symbolism, it's through everything. They tell you he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
He is the man in the literal black hat.
Yep.
You know, that is trying to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
And yet, you know what? You're with him the whole time. That big fur black jacket.
Oh,
and the whole style and the mustache and everything. Oh, it's just so good. And I just, you know, much like Andrew Ryan, it's just like, it is telling you what the future of video games will be.
Yeah.
Because you're like, that's a real person.
100%.
Yeah.
It's so funny because I think when we did protagonists, I think Arthur was my number 10 or 9 or something, and was also your number, like very similar to what we've got here. Almost should have predicted it, but man, what a great list. Do you want to recap our list?
Absolutely. I can start here. Number 10, Handsome Jack from Borderlands. Number 9, Goro, 4 arms, 2 shoulders. Number 8, Odin, Richard Schiff. Who's making tens of millions of dollars on The Good Doctor. Jesus Christ. Every time I see an ad for The Good Doctor,
I'm like, how is this still on?
It's like season 8 or something like that.
Wild.
And he's like, I think we need to save that life. And they're like, very good.
Very good.
That's a great doctor.
What good doctor? More like the best doctor.
Like they're like whispering each other, like, holy shit, that's a good doctor. He decided to save that person. Number 7, Mike Tyson from the titular Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Number 6, Wario. Number 5, the Joker. Ooh, scars. Number 4, Psycho Mantis. Number 3, Gary from Pokemon. I didn't do the runner-up, but it would have been Team Rocket there.
Oh, nice.
Number 2, Andrew Ryan. And number 1, Dutch Vanderlyn.
Amazing. I've got number 10, Dutch. Number 9, the real piece of shit, Gary from Pokemon. Number 8, the caked up Wario. Number 7, he is caked up.
He's so caked up.
He's very caked
This
up.
should be illegal, you walking around with all the cake.
What you gonna do with all that junk? Number 7 is the always wonderful Dr. Nefarious. Number 6, the monster that haunts my nightmares, Snacker the Shark. Yes. Number 5, the man who knows what you're going to do before you do it, Psycho Mantis. Number 4, you love to hate him, Patches from Dark Souls. Number 3, in my opinion, the most evil person in the Last of Us franchise, Ellie. Number 2, would you kindly give it up for Andrew Ryan? And number 1, this is no lie, GLaDOS.
I love it. I always imagine them as we're doing a curtain call here, them coming out like the play, and it's the villain thing where
just
the villain
shanking each other.
Yeah, the villain of the play has to come out and go, just joking. Yeah. Applause. Thank you.
I struggle with standing ovations so much.
Okay.
I never know when to do it. I went to go see Hamilton recently.
Oh,
Man of Culture. I don't know if you
absolutely. Why? Hey,
and I'm gonna keep it cool. I like Hamilton.
Ooh, he likes Hamilton now.
Yeah. I don't love it.
You must be some kind of musical theater nerd.
Fucking nerd. No, I fucking love Hamilton.
Yes, you
so
do.
when it ended, like lights go down, lights come up, everyone's on stage. I'm already standing up.
Yes.
No one around me is until they walk towards the stage and then everyone stands up and I was like, wait, what?
I see. That's okay.
Yeah,
I like being one of the first ones.
Same.
I like starting the thing. And I'm not doing it to be like, I did it. Good job.
Yes.
Look at me. It's more like some people just need a little push and you're like, it is okay. It's okay to stand and clap.
Yeah.
You know, the same way that like, I love like we're at a sporting event or something like that. Not starting a chant, but like when you're the first one to realize something good has happened, it's like, it's okay to clap. Like, come on. All right, good.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
100%.
It's the same thing. Standing ovations are great.
It's great.
Like who doesn't want to?
Feels great. Makes people happy.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Exactly. You know who doesn't? The villains that we just listed. Yeah, these are good lists. This is also such a broad topic.
Yes.
That you at home, the sweet D-pads listening right now, could come up with some pretty interesting lists of areas that we did not touch.
There's a few that are obviously going to be people are going to be mad about.
Yeah.
You want to go through some honorable mentions?
You know the one I thought you were going to have was Pyramid Head.
I had Pyramid Head was like number 11,
Okay.
basically.
All right.
I wasn't, I'm not an enormous fan of the Silent Hill franchise, not because it's not great, just because I'm a coward.
Yeah.
But Pyramid Head's design is second to none. I had Ramon Salazar, speaking of scary games from Resident Evil 4, just a hilarious little piece of shit, much like Gary. Nemesis from Resident Evil.
Oh, yeah.
But I couldn't in good conscience put one of those enemies that is constantly following you and cannot be killed. I do not like those in a survival horror. Voss from Far Cry 3.
Yeah, Michael Mando. Yeah.
Yes.
So good.
Of Better Call Saul fame.
Yeah.
Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII. Just so those Buster Sword pieces of shit.
Sword.
Yeah. Wesker from Resident Evil, also a very on its nose villain, capital V villain. And we already mentioned Revolver Ocelot and Gray Fox.
So I had those as well. I had Father Comstock from Infinite.
Oh, yeah, I thought about that.
That's another just great character. I also had Dr. Robotnik, even though another classic character of like, what do you put on him? But he has much more of an angle, than a Bowser does.
Yes.
He's trying to ruin the environment.
And he's much more creative than Bowser
Absolutely.
is. That's a good point. Yeah.
So I kind of thought like, that's clearly like, he has a method.
Yeah.
And also, trying to kill the environment? What are you out of your
What are
mind?
you doing?
That's number one villain talk, man.
Do you know what? Do you want to be on the side of climate change? You need to climate change your attitude, my friend.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I'm revoking that doctorate from what, the university of big pieces of shit?
Yeah. If you got a doctorate from the University of Big Pieces of Shit, would you decline? You'd be like, I don't want to part of
I'd
this.
wipe my ass with it, Andrew.
So, hey, that's good. That's, of course, what the graduation ceremony is. Everyone walks across, poops on a toilet. Yeah. She wipes her butt. Yeah. Or whatever. You could be your mouth, I guess.
You know what I got? What I wrote? This is, I'm surprised you actually brought up this university and my eventual doctorate. No, but the piece of shit university that you talked about them handing.
Okay. All right.
My thesis was actually on dung beetles.
Really? Why was it about dung beetles?
Well, they love shit. And they roll it all up. I was pandering, Andrew.
Oh yeah.
I'm a psychopath just like all the villains on this list. I know how to get whatever. Call me Dutch, baby. Follow me into the woods again. That's right. Again.
Do you think when Dutch Van Linde is, he's on a date with a bill and he's like, do you want to go Dutch? And he winks. Like, they're like, do you want to split the bill? Really? Okay, I guess. I thought you'd pay the bill, but that's fine.
Do you want to get in my Dutch oven? That's right. I want to fart under the sheets for you, baby.
Oh, a classic Dutch oven situation.
Talk about my bread raising in my Dutch oven. Like, oh, wow.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else? It's windmills probably or something.
Windmills.
Yeah.
Amsterdam. Hey, my toilet's clogged.
Mm-hmm.
Can you bring those wooden shoes over here?
Maybe Linde, like chocolate lints. I don't know.
Oh,
you know what? We're gonna work on that. But you probably have lots of lists.
You want to roll around like lint?
Yes,
lint roller.
Can you please clear my lint trap? So please send us those lists of what you got so that we, and if also you have more Dutch Vanderlyn puns, send them our ways because we're running out. Until the next time we talk to you, we love every single one of you and we can't wait to talk to you soon. My name is Andrew Baskman. With me as always is the bad boy of podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself,
Mikey Aaronworth.
This is the Retrograde Podcast.
Game over.
Furnished by Sad Styles Productions.
Mikey, bitch.